right, Donnie Van Curen joining us now here on a Friday. And we are seeing him through Zoom right here. And Donnie, the question that you have here is kind of a, boy, that's tough for a lot of parents to decide.
Yeah.
We're talking about marijuana being used as a medicine for a teenager.
Yeah, it's a very popular question, Carl. I'm getting a lot of kids that are struggling, whether it's COVID or distance learning, they're doing the virtual, or there's just a lot of things going on. So there's a lot of pressure on young people, and they're really searching for answers. And they're going to their parents, they're wanting help. The parents want to help them, but they're really struggling with how they go about finding out what exactly they need to help them during this, pressure-laden time of their life and time in society.
Okay, so Donnie, the viewer question is, Donnie, my son is currently a freshman in high school and struggles with anxiety, depression, and social phobias. He says he needs medication, specifically marijuana, to help him cope. His grades are suffering and he is generally sad most days. How should I proceed?
Yeah, like I said, really popular question. And the first thing I would say is meet with a licensed counselor and or school counselor and really make sure that he's looked at with people that have that experience. I mean, there's a lot going on there. And the first thing I do is get him with someone that can really sit down and find out really where he's struggling and what his real needs are at this time. You know, is it temporary? There's other things going on. I wouldn't hesitate to meet with a psychiatrist, especially if a counselor advises it. I think those are two forms of really trying to find an answer to it. But at the same time, I would make sure that a licensed counselor is able to sit down with him or her first and just really process that whole ordeal and what's going on in his life day in, day out.
Is that a medication, though? I think that frightens a lot of parents out there when they're considering marijuana. When someone approaches you about that, what is your advice besides kind of meet with professionals?
Yeah, that's the first thing, Carl. It's become very popular. It was popular before marijuana became legal. And so I would tell them to be very cautious, 100%. Now, if a medical professional that they meet with is telling them that's an option, they can look at second opinions. But I would first start out by getting someone that is trained to look at that and give advice in that area, mainly a psychiatrist. Now, a counselor is going to help them look at other areas because a parent needs to look at what else is going on, maybe look at their diet, their peer relationships, the family dynamics, their workload, school pressure, et cetera, and look at all those elements because some of these are timely. Some of these will pass. And so you don't want to really jump into medication of any form until you really looked at other areas of the young person's life and how they're managing stress, et cetera. But I would say you don't approach that until someone that really has that experience has given them the indication that would be a good answer and a good way of moving to a healthier place.
Yeah,
okay.
And even, I mean, I'm just saying, even screen time, that really can be depressing for some kids. Like maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like with all the virtual or whatever they're doing for their homework.
Social media too.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing to think about as well, along with that list that you gave.
Yeah, Bobby, 100%. I would not be afraid of medication, but I would also make sure you're looking, first of all, to other areas that could help your young person kind of get their hands around things and get their head above water. Medication is not a bad thing for the right circumstances, but a lot of times that's our first go-to, especially this generation. They're really wanting to jump on the medication and get a quick fix. And I'm not against it, but at the same time, I think there's some long-term things we need to look at, and we need to make sure we're looking at all the areas that are affecting our young people.
Yeah, good advice, Donnie. Hey, we appreciate it.